Special meeting, North Smithfield Town Council, June 4th, 2018. Open meeting. Madam Clerk, will you lead us in the prayer and the pledge, please?
Lord, and Holy Spirit of counsel, both of serving pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open forum pursuant to Rhode Island General 4246-6. Let's begin with the open forum. Mr. Lavassier. Let's start. I jumped ahead of the roll call, please.
Mr. Bonamoli, here. Mr. McGee.
Here.
Ms. O'Hara, here. Mr.
Present.
Mr. Beerhead.
Here. Now you can come up, Mr. Lavassier. Sorry about that.
Hi, I'm Mark Lavoisier. I live on 30 Winchester Avenue in Smithfield. I wanted to speak a little bit about the budget that I know is going to be released tonight and just some of my thoughts on that. So here we go. Roughly 12 years ago, the town made a remarkable investment in the town's future by building North Smithfield Middle School and adhering to the new middle school model. Something that was different for this town because we had all of our kids, all of our 7 through 12 kids over at the high school. Within 5 years of this school's opening, the scores and the rankings went from the bottom third of the state to the top, from the bottom third of the state to the top 5. Shortly after that, the high school rankings also started to increase. This investment and subsequent improvement did not go unnoticed. Projections of enrollment for the schools were at that time to be down, and they started to actually go up because of all the people seeing just how well our schools were doing. And in fact, that was the reason why I moved to town. My wife and I did not have kids at that point, and we were living in Attleboro, Mass, and we were trying to figure out where we were going to start our family. My wife and I now live on Winchester Ave, and we have two young boys. One is 3, and one will be 1 in July. Also, over the past 3 years, I was able to convince two of our friends to bring their families to North Smithfield. So that's a total of 6 boys that are now going to be romping around the woods. I know that there are folks that worry about spending money on schools. But all communities in Rhode Island with schools that flourish have great local economies and are desirable places to live. The town needs to start to view high-achieving, high-quality schools as one of its best resources, because that is something that we currently have. The influx of citizens with children mean that there are more tax dollars coming into the coffers. More kids means that we will be able to spend more will be spent on our local economy. I know that rec sports and scouting programs have higher enrollments than ever right now. I also know that more businesses will want to open because families will be spending even more dollars on clothes, groceries, restaurants, entertainment, etc. I believe every dollar that we spend in education will make the town a more appealing place to live, and funding to support the district's new initiatives is not only the right thing to do, but it's also the fiscally responsible thing to do. On behalf of my children, my family, and our town's future, I am asking the town council to fund a full 4% for our education. Thank you.
Glenn Gert.
My name is Thurgood, and I am a junior at Smithfield High School. I am speaking tonight to ask the council to support our schools with a 4% increase in funding. In the last few years, I have seen firsthand some of the improvements that we have made in education, such as more course offerings for students, as well as additional support for students that struggle academically. We have Chromebooks for all high school students as well. This has been an adequate start to improving education in Smithfield, but we still have a long way to go. I have been fortunate to be a part of athletics in the high school and have competed in gymnastics, cross country, and indoor and outdoor track. I have also had the opportunity to participate in advanced classes and a fantastic music program. These were great opportunities, but I also know some of the areas where our schools fall short, like our outdated science labs, ancient locker rooms, and limited programs. This is not acceptable anymore, as North Smithfield schools are forced to compete more and more with private schools, as well as a growing number of charter schools. I have lost many classmates to other districts for this very reason. North Smithfield needs to be fully funded in order to continue to move our schools in the right direction. My teachers, administrators, support staff, Assistant Superintendent Mrs. Arles, and Superintendent Mr. St. Jean work together to provide quality education for their students in North Smithfield. In turn, I work hard every day at school to do my best and to be successful, as do many of my classmates. Will you do your best to invest in me and my fellow students? Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Rawson.
Good evening. I am here to implore you to fully fund our schools. As a teacher at NSHS for 15 years, I have always believed that our schools are one of the best kept secrets in North Smithfield, in Rhode Island actually. Although recently, due to our numerous accolades, it is no longer a secret that NS provides an outstanding education to our youth. But for too many of these years, we have done so without the financial support of the community. During the last election cycle, NS citizens spoke with their vote and made a statement that we value public education and we wanted our elected officials to do so as well. I hope that the time is now. Fully fund our schools and our future. As a mother of 2 students at NSES, I am continuously amazed at the rigorous curriculum, exceptional teachers, and nurturing environment my girls benefit from. Imagine if they also benefited from smaller class sizes or teacher's aides in kindergarten classes. I don't need to imagine. This year, my youngest daughter thrived when her kindergarten class had a student teacher. Mrs. Carr, an exceptional award-winning teacher, took the opportunity to differentiate instruction further than she already does on a normal basis and provided additional supports for students who might need extra attention or for students who would benefit from a challenge. As the student teacher took over classroom duties, Mrs. Carr provided more one-on-one support. She was able to provide targeted intervention to struggling learners, and as a result, all are on grade level and ready for first grade. Ava, my youngest, had the opportunity to read more challenging texts and then write about them. Not only did she benefit academically, but most importantly, socially, as she felt special and learned that challenging yourself was fun. What an amazing life lesson in kindergarten. This could be a daily occurrence with the benefit of teacher's aides in all kindergarten classes. This should not be considered a luxury, but rather an investment in the success of our students. Both my daughter's class sizes are on the high end at this point in time and close to the contractual limit. Our enrollment numbers are going up as more and more people find out about this well-kept secret, especially at the elementary level. Research shows that public investment in education obtains the best long-term results when it is used to reduce class sizes. Without fully funding our schools, class sizes will make it difficult for students to receive the individualized instruction that makes a huge difference. Investment in public education pays off. I see so many examples every day when I wait to pick up my daughters at NSES. Many of my former classmates who were educated at that very school, who graduated from NSHS and settled in North Smithfield as taxpayers and productive members of the community are there as well. My former classmates, like myself, have used their education to buy homes and settle in the community, where we hope our children experience a similar path to success. These former students and beneficiaries of our public education system today coach youth sports in our community. They spearhead fundraising efforts throughout the community, volunteer in classrooms, and help keep NS clean and green, and generally speaking, contribute to the well-being of our community. We want to attract young families to NS, and one of the #1 factors in the decision of home buyers is the school system. And those that don't have school-age children benefit from higher property values due to quality schools. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, there is a definite correlation between school expenditures and home values in any given neighborhood. A report titled "Using Market Valuation to Assess Public School Funding" found that for every dollar spent on public schools in a community, home values increased by $20. These findings indicate what we should already know. Additional public school expenditures benefit everyone in the community, not just those directly using the school system. Finally, a recent study confirms something we also know. When a district spends money on students' education, these increases result in long-lasting impacts. For example, a per-pupil spending increase of just 10% over the 12 school years, those 5 years, i.e. those who are 5 years or younger at the time of the increase, completed more years of school, and as adults, they earned more and were less likely to be poor. For example, in 2012, schools spent $12,600 on average per pupil. Findings suggest that a permanent 10% increase, or an increase of $1,260 per student overall, would lead to 7% higher wages at age 40 and a 3 percentage point lower likelihood of adult poverty among those exposed to the increased spending. In our society, we pay for what we value. We need our leaders to show the value they place on public education and fully fund our schools. I'm hoping you value education as much as we do. Thank you.
Michael Clifford.
I have two issues I'd like to address. The first is, I know that Mr. Vadney's giving an update from the MBRTF this evening, and unfortunately I can't stay for the meeting. I'll watch it on the video, but I know you're on that committee, Mr. Beauregard. So one of my first questions is, has the architect, as he's working through the redesign of that building, or the MBRTF members themselves met with Jeff Harris from the Heritage Society? Because that building is a historical building. It's not in a historic district, but the PBIC committee, the previous committee, did work closely with Mr. Harris and the architect to try to preserve the historical integrity of that building. And it is a beautiful building that everybody thinks of as historical, even though it's not in a historic district. So that was my question: is has there been any input from?
I was due to a family commitment. I was not at the last meeting, but I will find out for you. I'll speak to Mr. Vadney about it.
At any of the other meetings, have you ever met with Mr. Harris?
I have not.
Okay. Second thing is, at one of the meetings of the MBRTF, it was mentioned by Mr. Sakosha that he had worked with a contractor to come up with the cost estimates. Like, I guess, comparing. Could we know who that contractor was that he worked with, and was it one of the three bidders who submitted bids last time?
Once again, I'll talk to Mr. Vadney, who's the chair of the committee, and I'll find out those answers for you.
Okay. Secondly, I had asked at the last meeting, there were three issues, I'm sorry. I had asked at the last meeting if there was any update.
So,
yes.
You can finish the question so people.
Well, it was the water department. There was supposed to be a report submitted a while back, preliminary report on the merger of the Union Village and Slatersville water departments and the feasibility of that.
Yeah.
And the deadline had come to it, and I hadn't seen anything on the agenda, so I asked you if, where it was at, and I was hoping to see it on the agenda tonight. But
No, and I did discuss it with the administrator, although there's not a report ready. It is something that he has been working on, and he just does not have enough information to complete his report at this time.
Okay. If there is a decision to merge those two districts, the Slatersville Water District with the Woonsocket Water Users in the Union Village District, will that be put up to a vote of the users of that system, or will the council be making that decision on our behalf?
I would imagine it would come before the council, but I'll be honest with you, from what I understand so far, it's not looking like it's feasible.
Okay, good. glad to hear that. Okay, thank you. The third issue was with regard to the map that was passed out at the last meeting on the solar overlay. We didn't have the benefit of seeing it before the meeting and weren't able to identify everything in the map. But my question is, the original map that was on the town website prior to the meeting had 10 lots identified as lots that would be impacted. And the map, as you redrew it, has 16 lots identified. Did you consult with and they weren't previously identified by the developer as lots that he intended to use, at least not on the prior map. So did you consult with the developer to find out why, before you added those lots, or why would you add lots that he hadn't designated as having an interest in?
So all the lots that you said were not, all the lots are designated on the map.
Well, on the map that was on the town website the week before, on the last hearing that we went to, this is the map, and you had identified 10 specific lots, and you put the lot number, the plat number, and the parcel number, and there were 10. And then on the map that you've redrawn, there are 16 lots. You've added at least 6. So my question is, did you why were those lots added? Did you talk to the developer? Did he express an interest in it?
No, that's not the case at all. I shrunk down the overlay district, and there was no discussion with the property owner before I did that.
Well, no, did you discuss it with the developer? I said.
No, I did not. I discussed it as the process was going through. Yeah, I did discuss it with the developer. I told him what I was doing. And
so what then, if you did, then why did you add lots that he hadn't asked to be included?
that was just how I shrunk down that's how I just shrunk down, and I met with the planner, and that's how we shrunk down the overlay district.
Well, you shrunk down the gross overlay, but you increased the size of the district that the developer actually said he was going to utilize. So that's what I'm confused by. I don't know why you put in more lots than you would the ones he asked for. And,
I'm sorry if I confused you.
okay, the other question, I'll wait to get the other answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Emma Gabrielson.
Good evening, downtown. My name is Emma Gabrielson, and I live at 403 Greater. I'm here tonight to ask you to fully fund our schools. My family has taught me that I need to speak up for what I believe in, and I believe that our schools are one of the most important things that we can support. Our schools help us to learn and grow and be ready to be successful adults. We have great schools, but there are many things that we still need, like new books and more choices for the students. More Smithfield schools are great, but I know that they can be better. We need your support. Please fund our schools at 4% so that me and my classmates can have the best education possible. Isn't our education worth that? I hope that you agree. And yes, thank you.
Thank you. Just for the folks that are here tonight for the presentation of the budget, I just want you to know that this is not a public hearing. However, I hope to see you all at the public hearing on the 18th. You will all, once again, have an opportunity to speak, and you'll be able to give more of a insight, because you'll have the actual budget available to you. But I hope that you're all here on the 18th, and whoever else, you can spread the word that wants to be here. The more people, the better. So is there anybody else that did not put their name on the list that would like to get up and speak right now? Yeah, you can come up.
Good evening, committee members. I'm Ms. Sledge. I purposely moved from Alabama to the North Smithfield area 2 years ago to help teach the next generation. And I'm hoping that tonight you'll consider how much of a difference this will make in the future of our students. I purposely chose to work with special education needs. I'm a teaching assistant at the high school right now, and I'm hoping that the more funding will help make a better future for not